EXA_League_Racing is now live. Streaming 1 franc 24, EXA X3 Season 8 Round 4 Austria Sprint.
Well, good evening everybody. Welcome to EXA X3 Season 8 Round 4 here in Austria. I am your commentator for today, Half Lap Harry. And I will be here to provide some entertainment and insight for you all over the next, well, probably hour and a half, close to 2 hours, depends how long this goes. It's the sprint race here at Austria, so 2 extra qualifying sessions I do believe. We'll have the short sprint qualifying, followed by the sprint, followed by another short qualifying and then the main race. Rundown of your championship order then currently. Let me just get it up. Rio Harris leads the championship after 3 rounds by 1 point from Josh in the Williams. 1 more point behind him is the McLaren of Dylan. And then 2 further points behind that is Raven in P4. So the top 4 in the championship separated by 4 points. And then a further 8 points back to Marcel in P5. In your constructors, Williams lead by 3 points from Mercedes, 65 to 62. Then a further 10 back to Alpine, who are 1 ahead of McLaren, 1 ahead of Red Bull. Then Aston Martin, Ferrari, Haas, V-Carb and Kick round out that championship. So the first car out on track then will be Jamie in the Aston Martin. Obviously for a sprint qualifying session, slightly different format to a main or normal qualifying session I should say, is you're only given, I believe, 1 set of mediums and 1 set of soft tyres. As we can see here, Jamie is on the soft tyres. Let me just get up my data. But what you'll also see is perhaps some drivers doing a banker time on the mediums before swapping to softs. Depends what you want to do around here, because you might be able to get 2 laps out of the softs, given that Austria is such a short circuit, only 10 corners of course. Well, less than that because some of them don't really exist. But Jamie begins his first lap then through turn 1, DRS open, up towards turn 3, climbing up the hill, through the turn 2 that doesn't really exist. Hard braking, find the apex, does so nicely, looked very tidy. Back on the power, down towards turn 4. This lap is over quicker than you could ever really get going with it, because we're already halfway through. Through turn 5, which again doesn't really exist. 2 downshifts into 6, or 1 in his case. Then some drivers will be flat through 7. If they can get the line right, they'll be flat through that. Towards the penultimate corner then, massive commitment through turn 9, very nearly flat. Chucks it through turn 10, keeps it valid, and up to the line he goes. Says a 1:04.0 is the banker time for all of the other 17 drivers to compete against. Next to come across the line will be Realm in the Haas. He has also managed to keep his lap valid, crucially, because nearly every corner here is track limits hell. He goes P2, 1.5 seconds off the pace. Maybe looking to slightly improve that time. Next will be Cali, who replaces him in P2. Followed by the Red Bull, I believe, or the RB, sorry, of Kev. So I believe the quicker drivers will be in and around the high 103s, is my prediction. Obviously, we've got Jamie on a 104 currently. We'll swap to Marcel, who is completing a medium run. So there you go. 2 different types of tyres being used. He will now, I'd imagine, come back in and fit the softs. It's not a particularly long session, this. Only 12 minutes. Yes, it's a short lap. You can very quickly get caught out if you're on the wrong tyre at the wrong time. Knight's invalidated. So has Dylan. So we will swap to Cam Dude in the Alpine as he climbs up the hill towards turn 3 on the mediums. 16.0 first sector. Chooses to use second. Interesting choice. Some people use third. I think is really driver preference out of there. I don't think it actually matters too much in terms of a lap time. Into the middle sector we go. He's well within track limits. He's not pushing too much on these mediums. There's no need to, of course, because you would expect them to go faster once they put the soft tyres on. Just about getting a banker time on the board, keeping it valid. Round the final corner for a 104.7, so up to P5, just behind his teammate. Next up will be Chaz, also on the mediums. Oh, I was a bit squirrely out of turn 9. And towards the line, 105.0. Up to P7 himself. Next up will be Mr. Cockpit Cam. I think he was one of the ones that we said were in Cockpit Cam. I think it was Billy and someone else. I can't remember who it was. But Mr. Cockpit Cam crosses the line and goes P10. Currently the slowest of the times that we have had set. But that is of course on the medium, so we'll expect more from him. Next person on the lap will be Alexis in the Red Bull. Again, also on the medium. So why would you go out on the mediums then if you know you're going to be quicker on softs? A lot of it's confidence. You can gain a lot of confidence just getting your eye in. Some of these guys may not have done in-session practice, so getting your eye on the mediums. And the other reason will be to simply set a banker time so that if your softs run goes wrong, you have something to fall back on. But I personally don't like going out on the mediums because it throws my eye off. I'm very good at just putting in a lap on softs straight off the rip, but some people do prefer to have that banker time. Another one on the mediums then. Epico in the Williams, of course. Why can I not remember the championship order? I think he's somewhere up near the top as he exits the final corner. Let me just get up the championship order a minute as he goes P2. No, it's Rio leading the championship. Apologies. Rio from Josh. Of course, Josh yet to set a lap time. Rio up in P3 as we stand. As Billy improves by a couple of tenths. And Dylan must have invalidated yet again. This is what I mean. If you overcommit on these mediums, you can quickly find yourself in a whole heap of trouble, as he will have to very quickly put on his set of softs and hope to God that he can keep that lap valid. We're in that kind of natural lull at the moment. Nick's just invalidated, so is Billy. So we'll cut to Rio then, as he goes for his soft run. I'm assuming that that 104.4 that he's currently got set was on mediums. So we expect to see an improvement here from the Red Bull driver. Into the middle sector. This is where the lap can go oh so wrong with the death curbs. You want to get as close to them as you can without touching them. Just had a lift off there in the middle. As towards turn 9, I missed the delta, but I think he's up. Through turn 10, the final corner. What's the time going to be? He doesn't dislodge Jamie at the top. Just under 2/100ths of a second, but unless he can find something magical in a second lap, not going to be another pole position for our championship leader. ADS is just over 0.3 of a second up, as he now approaches what is a rather daunting turn 9. Pretty much completely flat out blind right-hander. You don't know whether there's anyone sat on the apex waiting to absolutely ruin your lap time, as he did lose a good couple tenths through there. Nick is still on medium, so this is the unfortunate situation that some of these drivers have ended up in. They've ended up on the wrong tyre at the end. And that will very much not be what Nick would have been wanting. As he will come round to start his lap. But we will cut to the second place man in the championship, Josh, as he sets forth on his one and only lap here in Austria. Now towards turn 4, all over those entry and exit curbs. Lovely line. Will he be flat? Not quite. Perhaps not using him as an aggressive of a setup as some of the other drivers. I haven't yet seen a driver go flat through there, to be fair. Oh, that's wide. Slightly missed his apex as Raven goes up to P1 in the Mercedes. Josh is only good enough for P5. So a really scruffy lap for the Williams there. Knight doesn't make the line. So no time for the Aston Martin. Jamie doesn't improve either. Just caught the end of that lap. Next across the line will be Dylan, right up to the white line. Where could he put the McLaren? Up to P4. Not enough to trouble Raven's time. But will this be someone who can trouble it? Just over 2/10 up for the Williams of Epic. One corner to go. How's that not an invalidation? I'll never know. But up to the line. And he goes up to P1. 103.8. And I don't believe there's anyone else who can trouble that time. So there's only Josh and Raven to come around to finish there. in laps as such. And that is your qualifying then, here for the sprint in X3. Epico with a last gasp dive for the line takes pole position by just over 1/10 of a second, which around Austria, multiply that by around about 2 or 3 and that'll be your normal average. So actually no, I was wrong. I thought it was a high 1039. 3/4 of a tenth then, just about right, but you can multiply that by 2 at least. Marcel in the Alpine takes P3, Jamie P4. Championship leader Rio P5, Dylan P6, Chaz P7, Josh P8, Kev P9, and Nick rounds out your top 10 with quite a respectable medium run, to be fair. Not being able to put on the soft tyre. Yo, Rolly, how you doing, bud? And Ellen, welcome into everyone. How did that qualifying go for any of the drivers that are watching as we now head into the sprint?
Why is this not loading? Shit game.
Yeah, we've all had our hardships on this game. Can be very frustrating at times.
Guess I'd not racing the sprint. Cam's game crashed.
We had a game crash, have we? Oh, we should be back in now. What have I just witnessed? Chaos at the start then. Some moved off before the others did. Not sure what happened there. But Epico leads then, down towards turn 3 on this opening lap. Then we get up by tyres. That was a very weird start. Everyone on the mediums, apart from Raven and Knight, on the softs. Both Alpines are somehow at the back now. I've got no idea what's happened, but we'll run with it as is. As we're already halfway through lap 1. Epico maintains his pole position from Raven, who was on that soft tyre, very interestingly. We'll have to see if it pays off in the early stages of this race, this sprint race rather. And Austria has the unique quality of being perhaps the easiest track to be in a DRS train, so I would not be surprised if for the entirety of this race they are in that as the lead swaps for the first time this race. Surely it won't be the last, as Raven gets very squirrely there on the braking. Yellow at turn 3. We head into the... keep it clean, lads. Bit of ghosting. I don't know why there's ghosting. Into the middle sector. Raven will be looking to pull away now in the Mercedes. What on earth has just happened? Why is this so... I don't know if this is how the game is meant to be, whether the game's still glitching, but there's been a lot of weird, very weird things going on at the moment. As we come around to the end of lap 2, Nick takes fastest lap. Cam Dude is out. Guess that I'd imagine they've already had the glitch with the where you can't take control, but with nearly 3 wide, we are 3 wide into turn 3. Oh my god. Epico, Jamie, and I believe Raven, 3 wide into turn 3.
Control his car.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate glitch there for Cam. Unfortunately, not really much that can be done. The top 7 have managed to break away then from Callig and Co. So they will all be in the DRS train. Very unlucky for Cam as, oh my goodness me, that's a move into turn 9. Don't see that very often. Raven's forced to run wide. Yeah, it's top class from EA, really, isn't it? But that's for a whole different conversation, as that's a pass very out of shape there out of turn 1. Potentially under threat now from the kick driver. It just about manages to hold off. And already with such a short format, and being in these trains, these drivers will be thinking, where do I want to be? How can I get to where I want to be, which is this P2, P3 area, by the time we reach the closing stages in a few laps time. Of course, breaking out of the DRS train around here, you can pretty much forget it. It's not going to happen. Because for all of these guys who are, well, as we saw in qualifying, very similar in pace, you'll struggle massively to find a second in a lap here. Of course, the shortest time lap of the season, just over a minute. You'll very quickly find that they'll all be catching up with you by the time you get towards the next DRS zone. Through the middle sector we go once again. Round turn 8 and 9, or 7 and 8 rather. We're right on board with the Williams of Epico. Looking onwards to this battle between Rio and Jamie. They'll be saving his DRS. Ready for that one attack, because yes, you can save DRS quite easily in this game, but where you use it makes all the difference. Oh, careful lads, the game physics may screw you over if you're rubbing tyres like that. I've seen it happen in that exact spot, and it can go wrong so fast. They managed to keep it clean for now. Raven on the very aggressive, soft strategy here. I personally don't think it's going to work, because you'd have thought that he'd have been at the front of this train very early on if he was planning on making it for the win. Oh, pardon me. Of course, those tyres will be dropping off all the time. Yes, it is a short lap, but and I imagine these are probably the softest C5 tyres, so we're 3 wide again into turn 3. Beautiful camera angles. As Rio's run out of road on the left. And how about this then? Did you order a Noah's Ark? 2x2x2x2. They're all 2x2 into turn 4. My goodness me, lads. It's like a frenzy. Like a swarm of bees. They still haven't sorted themselves out as we get to the middle sector. Did I see a flash of rain? Yes, I did. I did see a flash of rain. Maybe Raven was right. Raven was right in his strategy call. As the rain begins to fall here in Spielberg. 5 laps to go. And have we had the twist in the tail that this sprint really, well, It didn't need it, but we got it.
They are doing really well so far.
As all of that
Watch the jinx.
preparation they've gone for, it all just adds a bit more challenge as we're up to turn 3, nearly 3 wide again. Not only have they got to worry about their own car, the other 6,000 cars around them. They've now got to worry about when they get to the corner. Will the grip be there when they get there? Is there still, well, 7 of them in this train? Oh, I need to burp again. Apologies. Oh, pardon me. It's corners like this that'll be the first telltale signs as to whether it's raining enough for intermediates. Turn 9, massive commitment in the dry.
Racing so far.
Very good racing here from the X3 division. As they head on to lap 9 then, 4 laps to go. And if you're somebody who's not in this train, if you're somebody like Dylan, Snoo, Billy,
Catch by the end.
anyone down, especially towards the back, why would you not take a gamble? There's my suggestion. Chuck on a set of intermediates. Just see what happens. If the rain does decide to come down, you could find yourself in a very prosperous position. But for these guys at the top, they won't have that option. They have to stick with it, no matter how wet it gets. Unless it absolutely tips down. This is your battle for the lead then. Snoo has caught. So we are now effectively, the whole field, apart from Kev, is back in the DRS train. What on earth am I watching here in X3? Raven continues to lead on the soft tyres. I mean, for how much longer though? It's the caterpillar of multi-million-dollar F1 cars. What more could you ask for? They'll look back from the Mercedes. 1 goes past, 2 will go past on the inside, there's another battle going on behind, and countless ones ahead of that. As Raven just gets squeezed a bit.
Race highlights.
Yeah, I don't think. Oh, I don't know what happened to Kev really. But I mean, look at it.
When it folded hands, lights continue.
It's like, just quickly flick through. Every single car in the field is in the same train.
Absolute madness.
Roma's just fallen off the back of it, but with 2 laps to go then, I believe DRS is still enabled. Epico will be hoping to dear God that it is disabled quickly, but I don't think his wish will be granted, as Rio and Epico have broken free. They've done the impossible as Raven gets very squirrely out of turn 1. Oh, we're 3 wide. Is it going to be 4 wide? No, it's 2 by 2. 4 wide. 4 wide into turn 3. That's not going to end well. Who's going to... Oh, there's a car off. Jamie's lost out big time. There's a Ferrari on the grass. What's going on? It's all kicking off here at the end of this X3 sprint. As he comes, oh, he's hit his teammate. The 2 Ferraris come together. Stu and Chaz come together. It's all kicking off here. There's 1.5 laps to go. Rio, championship leader, leads. Epico second. Josh just trying to hang on in third. We've got Aston Martin round in the middle sector. Dylan inventing new track limits, so's the Mercedes. It's impossible to keep up with as we head on to this final lap here in Spielberg. Rio versus Epic, it looks like it's going to be for the win. What can he do? Does he go for the dive? He has to save his ERS. Is DRS even still enabled? I think it is somehow. Rio gets already out of turn 3. Drag race down to turn 4. Is there anything Rio can do? He doesn't want to chuck away his championship advantage. Goes round the outside of the Williams, attempts to. Epico runs him out of road. As they head towards the middle sector, is there anything that Rio could do? There's a yellow at turn 4. Hopefully everyone sorts themselves out. Ravens fall into the back of the field. As we come up towards the final few corners, Epico looks like he's about to hang on to take an incredible win here in X3 Sprint here in Austria. As he exits the final corner, breathe a sigh of relief, Epico, you've done it. Epico wins for Rio Harris and Josh in P3. Dylan takes P4 after Nick's penalty on the final lap. Billy Cockpit Cam Merchant P5. Luigi Sven P6, Nick P7, Snoop P8, Jamie P9, and I believe Chaz rounds out the top 10. Oh, and breathe. Well, I say and breathe, we've got to do it all again for 36 laps. Oh, goodness gracious me.
Bro, what was that start?
I have no idea what happened at the start. It appeared to me that some drivers moved off before other drivers did.
Another Paulie first.
Kev's had a mare.
Last to first.
Cam Dude's had a mare. We last to first. There was no last to first. It was first to first. Honestly, if you're watching from Kev's POV, that race, the most boring race of all time.
Nice in the race.
Yeah, Kev had the most boring race of all time, but if you watch of anyone else, absolutely brilliant. It appears that Ellen's game has finally managed to load in, so we will have a full grid here for the main qualifying. And for the first time this season, while we have a little lull, I bring to you the half-lap Harry history section. It's Spielberg then, previously known as the Österreichring, and also I believe known as the A1 Ring before it was rebranded as the Red Bull Ring. Held races in the F1 Championship from the 1960s all the way through until 2003. And then from 2014 until 2001 till present. It's always been a very high speed lap. The old Österreichring was even higher speed than this one. A lot more flowing corners. Still follow the same layout though, roughly, just extended a lot of it. Home to many infamous moments. Of course, I believe it was home to an attempted photo finish between Rubens Barrichello and Michael Schumacher. One of the few they did. And in more recent times has been dominated by none other than Max Verstappen. He's got his own grandstand here, of course. You know, it is the Red Bull Ring. His own grandstand by the Red Bull in the centre of the circuit, which you can see in the background. But back to the action on track then. ADS will be the first driver to set a lap here in this extended 18-minute qualifying session. And the drivers have access to 3 soft tyres and a medium. So they're not quite as constrained as they were in the sprint qualifying. But that certainly does not mean that it's going to be any less frantic. Of course, 2 or 3 runs is the norm in one of these qualifying sessions, but we could even see 4 runs, as it is a very short lap around the Red Bull Ring. As ADS sets the provisional pace 104.6, very swiftly displaced by BRT Knight in the Aston Martin, goes half a second quicker. Of course, Knight didn't set a time in the sprint qualifying, so he's already doing better than he did then. Dillon has invalidated, so we will swap to Rome, who was also invalidated. You know, I think there might be a running theme here. A lot of these drivers will be struggling with the track limits, of course. Nearly every single corner of this Red Bull Ring is susceptible to track limits. But because it's such a short lap, it does mean that you can go for more than one run, as I've just realised Dillon's on intermediates. I don't know about you, Dillon, but do you see any rain? Does anyone watching see any rain? I'm not being delusional, am I? You know, it seems pretty dry out there for a set of intermediates. Is Dillon just testing the waters, or rather not so waters, here in the Styrian Hills? I don't know, because I can remember I was penalised for running intermediates, but I can't remember whether it was in this league or not. Let me get the tyres up. He's the only one on the intermediates. We'll leave the stewards to decide whatever they want to do with that. But we'll swap to Marcel then, who is on an actual lap in the Alpine. Who's invalidated? God. If I had a nickel for every invalidated lap that I saw in this session, boy, I'd be rich. As we're nearly 5 minutes in and we've already got 2 times. So, don't quite know what's going on here really, as Cam sets a 104.8 on the mediums.
It's raining for him but nobody else. I have seen that before on 1 Frank 23, but
Marcel doesn't have the fuel to go for another run. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised. It's an EA game after all. I've seen weirder glitches. Chaz will be hoping for a better race than he did in the sprint, of course, after colliding with his teammate Snoo. Has Snoo had like a double qualifying ban or something? Is that why he's retired, as Chaz invalidates as well? Hopefully he's got the fuel for another run, as we will swap to Ellen, who's invalidated before her lap has even got underway. Come on guys, it's not difficult. I say it's not difficult, it is quite difficult of course.
So because the 5th flight goes out randomly, it decided to go out like 0.1 seconds after it came on. It was basically instant, and some cube.
It's like I get it when I'm host of the lobby. The lights go out differently for me. But I don't know if it's like individual or whatever. But that start in the sprint, that seemed very dodgy. Oh, pardon me. I can't lie, that start didn't seem quite right. We'll swap to Nick in the Mercedes. Can he keep a valid lap? Come on, we're nearly halfway through the session and we've only got 3 times. We just need you to keep it within the white lines, and then we can celebrate. Because we may as well start celebrating. It is a rarity that these laps get valid. One more corner to go then for Nick. Keeps it within the white lines, thankfully. As he comes up to the lines at a 104.7. Oh, there's another one that's fell foul of the invalidation. Ellen now is on a valid lap just behind Josh, so we'll keep them both in view. Raven, I believe, has just started his lap, so we'll go to him after these two are finished. The Raven, very unlucky in the sprint, in the end, falling towards the back of the field. Not entirely sure what happened to the Mercedes, whether he was involved in the early scrap, or whether he just had a moment all by himself, of course. As Josh comes across the line, goes P2, not messing around with that one, but still 4/10 off of Knight as Ellen invalidates again. A lot of these drivers are going to be very happy that this is a short lap. If this had been a lap like Spa, and we could have been seeing a lot of drivers here without a time on the board. As Raven exits the final corner and does displace Knight at the top of the standings. 104.0.
Staying out on dries is faster. Nowadays it's either one or the other. W.
Yeah, the strategy is, I feel like strategy in F124, bit of a side rant, but strategy in this game, it's too simple. Like games like Gran Turismo, games like Assetto Corsa, and it all comes down to, in those games, the track doesn't dry out as a whole. It dries out more realistically. The racing line dries out before everything else. And it creates a situation where, if you can keep it within those tram tracks, you can be so much faster on a slick tyre, as Dylan goes P3. But if you go outside of those, if you overstep the mark, you're in the wall. So it's all about risk versus reward, and I feel like this game has catered too much for the casual fan in that respect. It's too easy. The cars are too easy to drive, they're too easy to catch. That's just my personal opinion. Be interesting to know what you guys think. Do you guys think that the game's become too easy over the past few years? Obviously we don't necessarily want it to be like F122 with the rather interesting traction, but just something a bit more challenging, really. It's like, I'd imagine these cars aren't this easy to drive in real life.
Depend on skill less and less. That's why we got this toe/doctors thing too. They thought that we only care about it being.
Yeah, it is. It's like, for an efficient F1 game, it's like,
Just like FIFA with their
you're not going to have many people that are really proper casual players. And I tell you what, if you have people who are casual players, have in-game settings so that you can change it.
But it needs to be a bit more difficult.
Like, you can change it so that, oh yeah, it's like we have with the off-track surfaces, you can make them realistic, you can make them easier. Just have settings that we can change so that you can cater for what you want to cater for. As Marcel comes towards the end of his lap. Oh, he's invalidated. Honestly, we need to get a how many times can we invalidate this lap tracker? Because I'm sure we're probably already up at over 100. As interestingly, Epico on the medium tyres. Unless they're trying to save sets of softs for the race, I don't know why you'd be out on mediums with 5 minutes to go, although he does go P5. Marcel has invalidated that lap as well, and so has Ellen.
From the game. Who's a contender to win today? Must be fun.
So these people down at the bottom, it's, for use of a better term, it's squeaky bum time. Because they really have to set a valid lap, especially Rio, who I don't even think has gone out for a lap at all.
If not, Jamie deserves a good result. Same for Rio.
Well, Rio Championship leader, so all the pressure's on him.
It's 532 yes, and his RE didn't let him do laps in SQ. I've run into the bug and it's a joke, honestly.
Yeah, the current order then, we're just shy of 5 minutes to go. Raven P1 from a much improved Knight in P2. Of course, Knight didn't set a time in
setting a lap is more important than being fast. Top 10 is easy.
sprint quali.
Clock
I believe Jamie is in the top few in the standings. Let me just get it up again a minute. Yeah, Jamie's P6.
Wished I was able to reserve. Damn appointment.
Yeah, Jamie P6 in the standings. I believe he is 20 points off the lead after 3 rounds, so bit of a long ass for him to make that back up, but you know, anything can happen. A lot of drivers still in with a shot at this championship. Of course, still very early on in this season. I believe it's 10 rounds, so I think it's 10 rounds, so we're not quite a half distance yet.
I can do 1 minute and 4.2 seconds.
As Realm now towards the end of his lap, towards turn 9 and 10, big commitment through turn 9, and through the final corner keeps it valid, as many other drivers haven't done in this qualifying session. So he's only a 1:05.8, well off the pace for the Haas driver. And lo and behold, look who's finally come out. Championship leader Rio for his what will be one and only lap here in this qualifying session. Towards turn 1 we go, and out again, keeps it valid, right on the white line though, pushing the very limits. Traffic gets out of his way on the left, hard braking all towards turn 3 just beyond the 100-metre board, clips the apex nicely. Now power down towards turn 4, burn the ERS, open the DRS. Yeah, a lot of these drivers will be having different ERS strategies as to where they want to deploy that, effectively a boost around the lap. But you should all reach around this point of the lap and have a bit left, of course, because there's still the run up towards turn 9 and 10 to deal with. Oh, that was nearly flat out through turn 7. First one I've seen do that today. See now approaches turn 9, will he be flat out? Not quite, small lift through the final corner, just about keeps it within the white lines, and he will go only P6, 4/10 off the pace set by Raven currently. And all these drivers now coming out for their final runs. We will spectate Marcel first, as I believe Cam is still having connection issues, unfortunate for the Alpine. Let's see if his teammate can avenge him then, as he heads up towards turn 3, around turn 2 of course, which doesn't really exist. So careful on traction, because while there's not as many corners on this track as pretty much every other circuit, each one does become a lot more crucial to the lap time. As let's say a circuit like Jeddah where there's 27 of them. Bit of traffic up ahead that Marcel will have to deal with. Hopefully he's seen him and does so, gets out of the way. 2 more corners to go then for the Alpine. Keep within the white lines, I pray. Round the final corner. A lot of room given there to the track limit, and he goes P2. Maybe if he committed just that bit more through the final corner, he may have gone P1 as Ellen at this point just set about a lap. Just trundle round and you'll beat Callig. I think that must be at least 4 laps now if she's invalidated.
We'll have a QB next race for the Inters on dry track stuff. Guess what track is next?
Oh, what track is next? I bet it's something like Baku. A horrible track to have. As Ellen has accepted that perhaps it won't happen this time and has retired. Oh, not Monaco. Monaco's going to be absolute chaos. I've got no idea whether Raven is up or not. We'll soon find out. But through the penultimate corner he goes. Keeps it valid. Jamie goes P1. That's a massive time. And Raven can't respond. Neither can Nick. Goes P3 though. Marcel's finished his lap. Knight is invalidated. Has Dylan got a response? In the McLaren. Pushed it through the final corner right and out of the limits. Out of the limits for the McLaren. P6 will be all he can do. There's a fine balance between keeping it in here. Epico is not going to improve either. He's hit a wall somewhere. There's front wing damage on that Williams car. That is your qualifying order then for the main race here in Austria. Jamie with an absolute dominant pole position. Over 3/10 here in Austria, which is, well, a country mile, let's say. Being the shortest lap on the calendar. 2.5 tenths, quarter of a second clear of Raven and Nick, both Mercedes doing well. Marcel in the Alpine P4, followed by Knight in P5, Dylan P6 after invalidating, could have been P2. Josh P7, Chaz P8, Epico P9, and our championship leader Rio Harris down in P10.
Epic in mediums exclamation question mark.
So, thankfully for the drivers, unfortunately for me, it is dry. Of course, we don't have a weather forecast though, and we found out in the sprint that there can be mixed conditions here in Austria. As we approach the race start, everyone seems to get away at the same time for once this time. Jamie leads away from Raven, maintains the lead, pardon me. Nick P3 as the crocodile weaves its way towards turn 3. Will they sort themselves out towards the back? Oh, I see front wings, I see collisions. A lot of shuffling around. It's literally like a swarm of bees. As Knight has very unfortunately disconnected. He was in a brilliant position there. Up in the top 10, and all of that is going to be undone now. I'll get up the tyres a minute. Everyone starting on the medium tyres apart from Dylan and Realm all the way down in P19. The majority of the field following the same strategy, which we expect to be a one-stop. Rio started P10. Although he is down to P16, Good notice that. Championship leader Rio has fallen even further back in the pack, down behind Kev, who had a nightmare of a sprint, so he'll be looking to improve on that. Hopefully Cam has got control, although I don't think he does. So, unfortunate for the Alpine, but not much that can really be done. We'll see him back next week, hopefully. First lead change of the race then. The Raven down towards turn 4. Just about gets it stopped. Rather a lot of lockups going on here early on. Of course, these cars laden with half of a full race tank of fuel. I'll be feeling rather boat-like, I'd imagine. Rather heavy, very lumbersome through some of these high-speed corners. Especially none more so than this one, where it's going to be all too easy to overstep the white line. Predictions then, everyone. What lap will we see the first track limits penalty? My prediction is that it will be lap 5. We'll see if any of us can get it on the dot. Once again, we climb the hill.
Are we doing an overall constructors this season?
We have nearly an entire field DRS train. So from P1 down to Realm. Oh, that's inside a car. I don't know what the hell happened there. But from P1 all the way down to P18, every single car within DRS of each other. Look, I'm not going to question how new F1 cars are made, but that might be it. That's what I'm going to say. All I'm going to say as we head back to the front. Raven leads from Jamie P2. Both Mercedes have had a brilliant start. P1 and P3 currently. Thinks about the move into the hairpin. Thinks better of it. I love these camera angles where you can just look down the straight. And there's no brakes in the train. It's just car after car after car after car. Also love these helicopter shots, which just show, well, ironically how slowly they're going in the grand scheme of things, but once you're back on board they are, of course, flying around at 200 miles an hour. This race goes by quickly, of course. Shortest lap by time on the calendar. Ellen sets a new fastest lap of a 106.0, not 106.0, 106.2. We're already on lap 5 here in this one. 36 laps to do, of course, as Jamie retakes the lead. I feel bad for Cam. Just doesn't seem to be able to stay in the session, unfortunately. We look slightly further back to what is now very nearly the second train. There's Dylan on the hards is very nearly falling out of DRS of Marcel. Got to be careful of that. Of course, he is going to be going on to the softer compound, so it'll be brilliant if he can hang on, but you can see by the ERS figures, I'm not going to say it because I know people are listening, but you can see by the ERS figures he's really having to try very hard to hang on here to this train, and he really will be the cork in the bottle for everyone behind him as we get further into this first stint. Whoever predicted lap 6 as the first track limits penalty, you win you win a slightly less buggier version of F124. Which still isn't great, but ayo, we're running on a budget here. 1/6 distance then here in Austria, and we still have a 9-man DRS train. Unfortunately, Rio has just fallen back off the train. 2.6 seconds the gap. As Snoo decides to go for the move down the first straight. You don't see that very often. Usually they wait for straights 2 and 3, but we'll see if these guys can claw their way back to this front train of 9 cars. And that's a very late dive there from the Alpine of Marcel. Well, it would be the race of attrition to end all races of attrition. Because all of the DRS straights and all of the 3 wide moments, we'd have no one finish. I don't think we're going to have many people finish next week, if I'm honest with you, but we'll soon find out. Oh, there's a yellow. It's Realm's lost part of his wing. He's been in the barrier there on the exit of turn 4. No VSC, no safety car though, so hard luck for the Haas driver as he's on the hards as well, so he may have to turn to the 2-stop strategy, which, unless there's a safety car, looks very unlikely. What is the safety car on? Is it on reduced or standard? As once again we play the old game of swapsies. Oh, Jamie just gets onto the power too quickly, loses out to the Williams of Josh. Well, so does Knight, and Cam is not back racing. I can guarantee you Cam's not back racing because that's a very much ghosted car. So, unfortunate news for Cam. And Knight, who I believe is over a lap down. No inroads have been made then by Snoo and Rio and co. Can't get within 3 seconds of the top 9. And unfortunately, I don't see them getting close because DRS in this game is just worth so much. And especially in a lap where there isn't really much other than DRS straights, if I'm honest with you. It's going to be very, very difficult for them to work their way back in. But I don't think we need more than 9 in a train, do we? 9's enough for enough chaos, isn't it? As we head towards now 1/3 distance here in Austria. Raven still leads as Knight calls it a day. On track.
Snoo and Rio should work together because they got the pace, but it's obvious they don't.
I think Cam is back, so beautiful work there for the Alpine. Hopefully he can stay in. But Knight calling it a day on track. I don't know if that was him exiting the pit lane, but thankfully it hasn't caused a safety car or interfered with the race. Once again up towards turn 3, that's a massive front lock-up for Raven. I know a lot of it is just visual these days, but still not a nice sight to see. Rio and co should be working together, but you can see they're just losing more and more and more time. 4 seconds the gap now. We'll go on board with the Mercedes of Raven and look back to the 8-man Caterpillar that has decided to spawn behind him. And I'll tell you what, if any of these guys, as Cam retires as well. Oh, I think Cam's got the bug where it retires if you leave. Honestly, Cam's day couldn't get much worse here. I couldn't participate in the sprint, and now can't participate in the race either, all due to connection issues. So towards the downhill braking of turn 4, Josh leads from Raven P2, Marcel going well in P3. All of these guys will be gaining massive points on Rio Harris, who is boxed for the hards. I think that's a very early stop. Now that will of course gain him time in terms of an undercut, but how much pain will that bring him later on, as both him and Snoo have come in. Now I'm not going to try and do live maths, but I'm not going to try and do quick maths on stream, but I do believe that Josh will be championship leader by a substantial amount if he can maintain this P2. This lap seems very early. Still seems very early if I'm honest with you. I'd be expecting at least 3 or 4 more laps out of these medium tyres. Maybe do a 16 on the mediums, 20 on the hards. Obviously with the hard runners going longer. But if you're on the hards, you have to make it past half distance, really, otherwise it's not going to work. So half distance in this race is lap 18. So Dylan and Realm will be on a lot longer than these medium runners. And we'll have to watch out for them towards the end, because those mediums will be faster. No one's going to try a hard soft, I wouldn't have thought. But I've seen weirder things happen.
Got darker again, thinking face, thinking face, thinking face, thinking face.
Well, we look at it, obviously we don't have a weather forecast. None of the drivers have come in and told us what the weather is going to be. It is beginning to darken up. I wonder, have people like Dylan, who's just made a move up into P5, could Dylan have gone on the hards purposely knowing that there's going to be rain? Because if it rains, and all of these guys stop early, and Dylan hasn't stopped yet, Dylan could be well on his way to winning this one. But of course that is all speculation, as we do have the first few pit stops. Did I see rain? Or am I being delusional? No, I'm being delusional. Ignore me. Oh, I saw the flash across the screen that you normally get with rain.
Dylan will be undercut by at least 6 seconds.
Yes, Dylan will be undercut, but if it starts raining, it doesn't matter, because the pit stop is at least 20 seconds, so we'll have to find out. And if you're someone like Nick, who's at the back of this train now, if you pit early, realistically, if I get the gap up, you're only 2 seconds off the lead. You could undercut everybody. Absolutely everybody, and I know that Raven is currently leading, but you could go for a double stack, as they all pile into the pits now in top 3, which will leave Dylan all out on his own with Nick, who of course is forced to go 1 lap longer to avoid double stacking with his teammate. Of course, Nick is carrying that 3-second track limits penalty. could that come back to bite him at the end of this one as he drifts into turn 3? Is Nick, Kevin, Luigi, Sven will be praying for a safety car at this very moment, because they could make massive gains if you get the cheap pit stop.
Snoop did a massive undercut, like 7 seconds.
So, well, your net race lead then is Snoo in the Ferrari, followed by Chaz. Followed by Chaz of all people. Where the hell's he come from? Oh, I say that, he's gone off the road. I've cursed him. Chaz is off the road. Chaz is off the road in the Ferrari. Just ran outside of track limits and then couldn't get back in again. Oh, Chaz, oh Chaz, oh Chaz. Up in the wuthering heights of a net P1. And all the way down to P12 in, well, about as quick a time, if I'm honest with you. So Snoo with the net undercut.
Tried to rejoin while cars were there.
Snoo with the net undercut. Currently P1. Or net P1. But his tyres are 5 laps older than Raven's. Now I don't know how much quicker the tyre, I don't know how quick the tyre wear is around here. But something tells me that that could be worth maybe quarter of a second a lap. I'm just pulling numbers out of the air here, but there's going to be a difference in tyre performance by the end of this one. If Snoo can hang on that long, of course, it'll be a monstrous 26 lap stint, if he can do so. But it is doable.
What am I seeing? Flushed face.
As behind Snoo, oh, trust me, danger. We had like an entire field DRS trade in the sprint. It was amazing. This is what you've got to look forward to in the rest of the tiers over the week. Imagine X. I don't know if X1 has the same calendar as this, but imagine X1 like this. I don't know how you keep up with it. Towards turn 4, we're right on board with the Williams of Epic when they go for the dive. Thinks better of it. His teammate very nearly ended up on the inside. Epic spins round. Epic has spun. He's taking his teammate out. The two Williams collide. The two Williams collide. Oh, what drama. Epico just caught the gravel there with his rear tyre. And he's come across and taken out his teammate. What travesty for the Williams pairing. If my memory serves me correctly, they were championship lead in the constructors. Not anymore. Not anymore. High drama here in Spielberg as we reach half distance. The two Williams come to blows. I don't even think that's the first time this season. They came to blows in Australia as well. So they need to have a talking after this. They need to have a sit down because that Williams debrief is going to be very frosty after this race in Spielberg. Back up to the front then. Raven takes net P1 over from Snoo. Marcel behind, followed by Jamie and Rio, who by virtue of undercut, yes, he's on older tyres. He's used bloody magic flu powder by the looks of it, but he has the almighty undercut as Dylan now comes in and will be the only one on the alternate medium strategy. It's crucial really that he comes out with this battle ideally ahead, but he doesn't quite do so. The McLaren of Dylan out in P9 then. We'll see what he can do on those medium tyres in the next few laps. He's back up to the front. Marcel down the inside Wants to retake Snoo. Snoo on the older tyres, of course. The Aston Martin, very opportunistic move there from Jamie. Brilliant move. Chance for Raven to perhaps break away. Those tyres on Snoo's car, of course, are not going to be as fresh as they were 9 laps ago. He just about held it. Only just, though. If Raven can have a good couple of corners here, could maybe break away. We're right on board with the Mercedes. No, I think the chance has gone. Chance has gone, unfortunately, for the Mercedes. They are back within now. I say that. Snoo did go wide. Didn't quite get the apex. And there's no DRS now until the main straight. Especially if Jamie goes for the move on the inside and doesn't quite get it. Surely this is Raven's chance. Snoo's going to be so much slower through this middle sector. And look at that. Look at it. You can see it with your own eyes. Gaps at 1 second. Raven needs to gun it with all his might, surely. Will Snoo pick up the DRS? I don't know where the detection point is. But he hasn't. Snoo does not have DRS. Raven has completed his break for now. I say for now, of course, because we all know that it could evaporate as quickly as he got it. Dylan, meanwhile, is absolutely flying by the back of the pack on the brand new medium tyre, just set you fastest lap. As Jamie has now overtaken Snoo, but still not quite within the 1 second of Raven. Raven now needs to push. He needs to just try and eke out that gap again. But will Jamie in that Aston Martin just be a little bit quicker through this middle sector? I think he will be. And as quickly as Raven managed to break away, he's been reined back in again like a lasso. Jamie doing the godsend's work in the eyes of everyone behind him. Thing is, if you're Raven, if you're Jamie, if you're Snoo and co, you're not going to know necessarily where Dylan is. Dylan is absolutely flying. So we'll see if in the next 5 or 6 laps whether he can tag on to the back of this train. And yes, he does have that track limits penalty, but there's still 14 laps to go in this one, and I can guarantee you we haven't seen the last of the penalties. There'll be a lot more to come yet. Whoa. Lap 22 then here in Austria, nearly onto lap 23, so nearly 2/3 distance. Is that Luigi hasn't quite had the race you would perhaps want. Unfortunate for the kick driver. Becomes the 3rd retirement here in Spielberg. Or you've got to look at people like Snoo and Rio, who have been forced into this strategy by going for the undercut just to get back with this top group. 13 laps Snoo's hards already are, and there's still 13 or 14 laps to go. Oh, Epic's disconnected. Still 13 or 14 laps to go, so 26 laps stint I believe he'll have done by the end. So those hard tyres are really going to be crying out. Speaking of track limits, that's got to be a warning there for Marcel. The yellow at the end of the lap. Who's gone off? Oh, it's Alexis. Oh, it's a big off for Alexis. Massive off for the Red Bull driver. Is that front wing damage? Lost it on the exit of turn 9. That's a big moment. Not sure what's happened to him. Front end plate missing, so... Has he hit a wall? Has he hit another car? Because crashes at the exit of turn 9, they're not pretty at the best of times, so he's lucky actually that he's still in this one. Although he is now down in P16 and well off the back of the pack. We once had a DRS train for the entire field. We then had a DRS train for 9 cars. Now here on lap 25, we're down to 6. But my god, that certainly does not make it any less entertaining or unpredictable. As apart from maybe Marcel, any of these 6 drivers could win this race if they play their cards right. As even Nick knows, it only takes a moment of chaos, a moment of confusion, a few drivers to run wide, pick up a few penalties, and he could very quickly find himself on for a podium here as Rio down the inside of turn 9. That's a bold move. Pulls it off though, fair play. Championship leader may not necessarily have needed to do that, but went for it anyway. Dylan's just behind this train and is just slowly beginning to close. Nothing to write home about, but he's gained about a second on this train. See if he can make his way into the battle. See, if you're Raven now, and I don't know how many warnings Raven has got, if any. If you're Raven, if you pick up a 3-second time penalty, you could find yourself off the podium. Which, by any league racing standard, that's both impressive and incredibly punishing for a 3-second time penalty to take you from a win to not even on the podium. With 9 laps to go, things have seemed to have calmed down. Finally. After 26 laps of chaos, everyone seems to have roughly sorted themselves out. Snooze tyres are 17 laps old now. So they've done just less than the half of the total race distance. How he's holding on to this P3, I will never know. Because those tyres must be crying out along with Rio. And there's still 10 laps to go here in Austria. Well, here we go again. Those of you who are fans of the exact same thing happening over and over and over again, I've got a treat for you. Because guess what? There's more overtaking into turn 3. And guess what? There'll probably be more overtaking into turn 4. It's the most unpredictable race of all time. You know there's going to be DRS trains, you know there's going to be moved into turn 3 and turn 4, but you don't know what order they're going to arrive in, or if they're even going to arrive in the right direction, as we've seen a few times. Yeah, brilliant racing from these X3 guys though. Massive commendations to them for keeping it 99% clean and for sticking with this 6-man DRS train. And it's not just a DRS train where, you know, they're just about towing each other along. They couldn't be much closer to each other than this without making contact. Up towards turn 3 we go for the 29th time. There's another move going on, very nearly going on behind that. And to be in this top group, you can't just be fast. Being fast will help. You have to be strategic in these situations. It's not just, you're not just battling one car. You're battling a whole train of cars. And throughout this race, it will ebb and flow between different leaders. And as the leader, you have to know when it's right to drop back. Because yes, you probably could win it if you led every single lap. But it'd be an awful lot easier if you pick and choose when you lead. Save your ERS, save your tyres. Just try and strategize a bit when you maximise your pace. Because that's the beauty of these fast drivers and these drivers who just have that little bit more than these people who are maybe P8, P9. Yes, they have the outright pace, but they know when they need to use it. They can happily sit back in the train, just 90% of their pace, just chilling, and then just unleash it. Love watching them. As that club of people who don't have track limits penalties is ever decreasing, with only 8 drivers now not receiving the penalty from the stewards. Tell you what's also nice about this race, or this type of race. But a lot of the time it is similar, you know, just DRS trains, as Marcel picks up another penalty. We know it's going to be DRS trains, we know there may be long periods where not much goes on.
Very well said. It's much more important to be good at 90%.
You can still,
100%.
like, there's so much to talk about, even though there's not much action happening. It's brilliant, I love it. Makes my job easier as well. Yeah, if you're in this train, as Snoo may be just showing the first signs of tyre wear there, struggling for traction out of turn 4. If you're in this train, and you are pushing 100% of your pace, not saying that you're wrong, just saying that you're much more likely to be susceptible to mistakes. And you won't have that extra bit of pace if they decide to go. And that's into these closing stages. That's what we'll find now is, God, Dylan just picked up another penalty. And Dylan's charge on the mediums didn't really get anywhere, if I'm honest with you. Rather the anti-climax of the race. Alternate strategy not quite working there for the McLaren driver. And Snoo has somehow made another overtake. Don't ask me how. Those tyres should be dead now by a long way. But he's somehow done it. What's happened to Dylan? What on earth has happened to Dylan? He's backwards on a straight with no front wing. What on earth has happened there? He's missing both his front wing end plates. There was no one around him, I don't think. I don't think he was battling with Josh. I'd like to see a clip of that. I don't think he was battling with Josh, and I don't think he was battling with Ellen. So it will be interesting to see after the race. We'll hear what happened, but we'll leave those questions until later on. Back to this front train then. Lap 33 out of 36, 3 laps to go after this one. As they go past the lapped AI car of Epico. Those are the things you don't want. If that lap car had come at a moment where Raven could have got DRS, that can change the course of the race. But luckily it was at the end of a DRS straight, so it didn't really matter too much. But now really is that stage of the race where if you're Rio, if you're Marcel, if you're Nick, if you're Jamie, you really have to start putting the afterburners on and start getting into a position where you can make a move on the last lap. Because you can go from zero to hero on the last lap. You can also go from hero to zero. Raven knows this. Raven knows he has to be careful. He's got 5 very rapid drivers behind him who would quite like to win this one. And I'm sure they won't exactly be friendly to him if they try and go for a move. It won't be a, can I please get past? More rather of, I'm coming through and you can't stop me. But all the time the heat in that pan just beginning to increase. It was on a low simmer for the past 10 laps. Now it's just approaching boiling point. As they start the penultimate lap here in Spielberg. Here in the Styrian Hills. Snoo did think about the move there as he made contact. I think he may have made minor contact there with Raven, as he definitely makes contact with Aston Martin. Very much varying levels of ERS. Obviously I'm not going to say anything because people are watching. But now it kicks off. Now it kicks off. You better lock in, folks. This is where the fun begins as Rio goes to the inside of Jamie. Lovely move, but Jamie holds it round the outside. Just about holds on as we approach the final 2 corners. Oh, this is going to be a chaos final lap. 1 more lap to go here in Spielberg. Can Snoo, oh my goodness, can Snoo pull off the impossible with 26 lap old hards? He's going to the inside. He's going to the inside. He's gone past Raven. Has he pulled the pin too early though? Rio goes past Jamie further behind. Has Raven got a reply? Has Raven got a reply? Snoo defends the inside. Raven goes to the outside. Keep it round. He can't quite do it. Can't quite do it. Snoo's only got 1 more straight to defend. As we come through the middle sector, he's saving his ERS. Although there isn't much left of it. No one's got much left to burn. But Raven's got the exit. He's underneath him. Towards the final corner we go. Oh, hold your breath. Raven gets him back. Out on the final corner, is there anything Snoo can do? I don't think there is. As they come across the line, Raven wins, Snoo P2. Rio, what a drive. What a drive from Snoo and Rio. Brilliant strategy. Jamie P4, Nick P5, Marcel P6, Josh P7. The cockpit cam merchant will come across the line in P9. Kev P8. Ellen will take P10. Chaz P11 after his earlier incidents. Kalig P12. ADS P13. Alexis P14 after his... Oh, there's no way. The cockpit cam merchant wins. Alexis after his massive crash at turn 9. P13, ADS P14, and Realm P15. I knew there was someone else who was in cockpit cam, but I couldn't remember who. What a merchant. Yeah, what a race. What a win for Raven and Mercedes.
Raven, Billy and Luigi.
Oh, there's 3 of them. My God. Honestly, I don't know what goes through their heads as to whether they think that's a good idea. Yeah, brilliant race for you all. Final race results then, in case anyone wants them. And the race director, there's going to be so many warnings. Oh, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. It's still going. Yeah, brilliant racing from all involved. That's it for this race then, folks. Next week we are off to Monaco in X3. I think I need to start resting my voice now. I just realised Snoo's done a P20 to P2. He nearly did the last to first. What a drive by Snoo. I have been your commentator, Half Lap Harry.
No, not Monaco.
I hope you've all enjoyed, and I will see you, hopefully, next week. There was 16 finishers. Technically 15. But goodbye, and adios.